The rain hammered relentlessly against the glass walls of Washington National Airport, a gray curtain blurring the world outside. Inside, amidst the hum of hurried travelers and rolling suitcases, Marcus Langston stood motionless, his reflection staring back at him from the polished floor. At 38, he carried the quiet authority of a man who had clawed his way from nothing to everything, a tech titan whose name echoed through Silicon Valley boardrooms and beyond. His tailored charcoal suit hugged his broad shoulders, a subtle testament to years spent proving his worth, and his dark eyes scanned the terminal with a sharpness honed by survival. Today, he was headed to San Francisco, a routine flight for a man whose empire spanned continents. But routine, Marcus knew, could unravel in an instant. He approached the Regalis Airways first-class lounge with the same measured stride he always used, a carry-on of sleek black leather in his hand. The young attendant at the podium, a man with a nervous smile and a badge reading Tyler, greeted him warmly. "Good morning, sir. May I see your boarding pass? ID?" Marcus slid the documents across the counter, his platinum frequent flyer card glinting under the fluorescent lights. Tyler's smile faltered as an older woman emerged from behind the podium, her steps quick and deliberate. "I'll take it from here, Tyler," she said, her voice clipped. Her badge identified her as Ellen Carter, and at 52, her sharp features and steely gaze suggested a career built on control. She snatched the boarding pass from Tyler's hand, her eyes flicking from the document to Marcus with a scrutiny that felt like a blade. "Is there an issue?" Marcus asked, his tone even, though he already knew the answer. Ellen's lips tightened into a thin line. "Just doing my job, sir," she replied, the word "sir" dripping with disdain. She turned the boarding pass over as if expecting to find a forgery, then tapped furiously at her keyboard. "This ticket, it's unusual. These seats aren't cheap." Her eyes narrowed, locking onto his. "We need to ensure all passengers are in their proper place." Marcus raised an eyebrow, the faintest hint of steel creeping into his voice. "I assure you, my ticket is valid." Ellen leaned closer, her whisper barely audible over the terminal's din. "Did someone buy this for you? An employer, perhaps?" The implication hung heavy unspoken, yet deafening. Around them, the air thickened with tension. A businessman in a rumpled suit nearby smirked, muttering to his companion, "Maybe he's lost. Coach is back that way." Ellen didn't flinch, her posture stiffening as if emboldened by the comment. "I'll need additional verification," she said, her voice rising slightly. "This doesn't add up." Marcus reached into his wallet and produced a black Centurion card, its weight and rarity a silent rebuke. "Will this suffice?" he asked, his calm unshaken. Ellen's eyes widened for a fraction of a second before she recovered. "Anyone could have one of those," she snapped. "I'm calling security." Within moments, a broad-shouldered man in a security uniform approached, his salt and pepper hair and clipped stride hinting at a military past. His nameplate read Henry Voss, and at 47, he carried the weary pragmatism of someone who'd seen too much. "What's the problem?" Henry asked, his gruff tone cutting through Ellen's indignation. "This gentleman's documentation seems questionable," Ellen replied, her emphasis on gentleman laced with mockery. Henry took Marcus's ID and boarding pass, studying them with a practiced eye. "Everything's in order, Miss Carter," he said firmly. "No alerts in the system." Ellen's face tightened. "I want him removed, just to be safe." Henry hesitated, his jaw clenching as protocol warred with instinct. "Sir," he said to Marcus, "I'm sorry, but would you mind coming with me?" "It's procedure." Marcus nodded once, his expression unreadable. As Henry led him away, a young intern in a Regalis uniform watched from the sidelines, his wide eyes fixed on the scene. His badge read Tariq Evans, and at 22, he recognized Marcus instantly, the man whose AI innovations powered half the airport's systems. Tariq's fingers flew across his phone, texting a friend in it. They're escorting Marcus Langston out like he's a nobody. This is bad. Marcus followed Henry to a small security office, his steps deliberate, his mind already shifting gears. Once inside, he slipped his phone from his pocket and made a call. "This is Langston," he said quietly. "Protocol Eclipse. Full activation. Begin now." He hung up, his gaze drifting to the window, where planes taxied in the rain. Henry cleared his throat, shifting uncomfortably. "Mr. Langston, I apologize. This seems like a misunderstanding." Marcus met his eyes, his voice low but piercing. "Does it? Or is it just another day in a system that thrives on assumptions?" Henry looked away, unable to answer. Outside, in the terminal's bustling chaos, Tariq's text had sparked a firestorm among the staff. In the break room, his friend Malik Jefferson, a 25-year-old systems analyst, nearly dropped his coffee. "Marcus Langston, the guy who built Langston Technologies? Are you kidding me?" he hissed into his phone. "Dead serious," Tariq replied, ducking behind a pillar to avoid Ellen's gaze. "Ellen Carter and security just hauled him off. They've got no idea who they're messing with." Malik's voice rose in panic. "His company runs our traffic control systems. Man, this is a disaster waiting to happen." Back in the security office, Henry reviewed Marcus's documents again, his discomfort growing. "You're free to go, Mr. Langston," he said finally. "I'll escort you back if you'd like." Marcus shook his head. "No need. My flight board's soon." As he left, his phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Mr. Langston, this is Tariq Evans, Regalis intern. What happened was wrong. A lot of us here admire you." Marcus paused, then typed back, "Keep watching, Tariq. The truth has a way of surfacing." Beyond the terminal, a black SUV idled in the rain, its tinted windows concealing a woman with a predator's focus. Nia Adebayo, 43, was Langston Technologies' head of global security, her short-cropped hair and piercing eyes a match for her reputation as a former NSA operative. Her phone rang, and she answered crisply. "Adebayo, it's me." Marcus's voice came through. "Protocol Eclipse is live." "Understood," Nia replied, her fingers already dancing across a secure tablet. "Assets are moving into position. Initial intel on Regalis shows a mess offshore accounts, buried lawsuits, and a CEO with more political buddies than sense. Where do you want to start?" Marcus's response was measured. "Everywhere. They think they can humiliate me because of how I look. This isn't about revenge, Nia. It's about consequences." Meanwhile, at Regalis Airways Atlanta headquarters, CEO Jonathan Pierce, 58, lounged in his opulent office, sipping bourbon after a golf game with Senator Richard Hayes. His silver hair and easy grin masked a ruthlessness that had kept him atop the airline for 2 decades. His intercom buzzed. "Mr. Pierce, PR needs you. There's an issue at National Airport with a high-profile passenger." Jonathan groaned. "Can't they handle anything themselves?" "Fine, patch them through." A shaky voice filled the line. "Sir, a man named Marcus Langston was denied lounge access, despite valid documentation. It's hitting social media." Jonathan frowned. "Langston? The tech guy?" "Yes, sir," the PR rep stammered. "He's influential." Jonathan waved a hand dismissively. Standard response. Diversity, inclusion, isolated incident. Blame the employee and move on. But as Jonathan returned to his drink, the first ripples of Marcus's counterstrike were already spreading. In the staff break room, a young gate agent named Aisha Brooks, 27, confronted Ellen Carter. "What you did to that passenger was wrong," she said, her voice trembling but firm. Ellen smirked over her coffee. I was protecting our premium spaces, sweetie. You're too green to get it. Aisha's eyes flashed. He had every right to be there. You targeted him because of his skin. Ellen's smile vanished. Watch yourself, Aisha. False accusations could cost you. Before Aisha could respond, their supervisor entered. Ellen, my office. Now, as Ellen stalked out, her phone pinged with an HR memo. All employee social media is under review. Refrain from commenting on recent events. Across the country, Regalus's booking system flickered. Flights vanished from schedules, then reappeared hours later. Premium reservations downgraded without warning, and credit cards were declined or charged twice. In Dallas, engineers scrambled, their lead shouting, "It's like the system's turning on itself." Marcus watched it unfold from his San Francisco hotel suite, screens glowing with real-time data. Nia's voice crackled through a secure line. Operation Mirror is active. We're hitting their weak spots subtle enough to look like glitches, loud enough to sting. What's next? Marcus's eyes gleamed. Expose them, piece by piece. The rain had eased into a fine mist by the time Marcus Langston's flight touched down in San Francisco, but the storm he'd ignited was just beginning to brew. His phone buzzed incessantly as he stepped into the waiting car, a matte black Tesla that purred silently through the city's steep streets. Grainy cell phone footage of his confrontation with Ellen Carter had already leaked online. The hashtag fly, while black, trending alongside clips of Ellen's tight-lipped suspicion and Henry Voss's reluctant escort. One post read, "Tech billionaire Marcus Langston, humiliated at Regulus Lounge proof, money can't buy equality." Another juxtaposed Ellen's polished headshot with her glaring at Marcus, captioned, "Meet the face of Regalus Airways Welcome Committee." Marcus scrolled through the coverage with a face carved from stone, his driver navigating the fog-draped streets toward his hotel. The news had caught fire. CNN's anchor intoned gravely. Breaking news. Marcus Langston, founder of Langston Technologies, was allegedly racially profiled at Washington National Airport. Regalus Airways faces mounting accusations as witnesses come forward. Marcus muted the screen and leaned back, the city lights smearing into streaks outside the tinted windows. His phone rang, cutting through the silence like a blade. "Langston," he answered. "It's Nia," came the crisp reply. "The media's got it, and it's tilting our way. Regalus PR is flailing standard isolated incident line. Our digital insertions are live, hitting their booking systems hard, and Tariq Evans is feeding us internal chatter. Kid's sharper than he looks." "Good," Marcus said, his voice a low rumble. "What about their leadership?" "Jonathan Pierce is holed up in Atlanta, thinking he's untouchable," Nia reported, her tone edged with disdain. "He's got ties to Senator Richard Hayes and half the Transportation Committee. Their cybersecurity's a joke, outdated firewalls, unpatched servers. We've got eyes on his private email server already. It's a gold mine." "Keep digging," Marcus instructed. "I want every skeleton they've buried." "And Ellen Carter? She's got a history," Nia said, her voice darkening. 15 complaints over 12 years, mostly passengers of color, in premium cabins, all swept under the rug by HR Henry Voss, though he's clean. Ex-Marine, 20 years in security. "Seems caught in the middle. Reach out to him," Marcus said, quietly. "I want to know where he stands." As Nia signed off, Regalus Airways issued its first public statement. A sterile block of text splashed across their social media. Regalus Airways is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. The incident with Mr. Langston was an isolated case of an employee deviating from protocol. We are investigating and apologize sincerely to Mr. Langston and our customers. In Atlanta, Jonathan Pierce tossed his tablet onto his mahogany desk, the bourbon in his glass sloshing slightly. There, he said to his assembled crisis team. Problem solved. Now can we focus on real business? Tanya Rivera, 41, Regalis' chief communications officer, pressed her lips into a thin line. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, accentuating the worry etched into her face. Sir, this won't cut it. The optics are terrible, and Langston's influence runs deep. Social media's tearing us apart. Jonathan rolled his eyes, his silver hair catching the light. It's a hiccup, Tanya. Blame the gate agent, promise training, and it's done. These things blow over. Sir, Tanya pressed, we should reach out to Langston directly. A personal apology. For what? Jonathan snapped, his voice rising. A 5-minute inconvenience? He still flew, didn't he? We've handled worse. Offer enough cash, and they all quiet down. Tanya exchanged a glance with CFO David Kim, 39, whose sharp features betrayed his unease. Maybe we should at least, David began, but Jonathan cut him off. Meeting's over. I've got a dinner with the governor. Keep it cheap and contained. As the team filed out, Tanya lingered, whispering to David, this feels different. Pierce doesn't see it. Back at Washington National, Ellen Carter strutted into the employee lounge, basking in the murmurs of her colleagues. I was just doing my job, she said loudly, pouring coffee with a flourish. You can't let everyone waltz into first class. Aisha Brooks stood nearby, arms crossed, her uniform crisp, despite the long shift. You targeted him, Ellen. His ticket was legit, you know it. Ellen's eyes narrowed. He looked out of place. I've been at this 20 years, Aisha. I know trouble. Aisha stepped closer, her voice steady. Trouble? Or just a black man in a suit? You left your post to stop him. That's not protocol, that's you. The room hushed, eyes darting between them. Ellen's smirk faded. Careful, girl. You don't want to cross me. Aisha held her ground. You know who he was, right? Marcus Langston. His company's worth more than Regalis. For the first time, doubt flickered across Ellen's face. But she masked it with a shrug. Means nothing to me. Aisha turned away, muttering, it will soon. Hours later, Marcus sat in his hotel suite, the San Francisco skyline sprawling beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. Screens flickered with data, Regalis' stock dipping, their systems glitching, their customers raging online. Nia's voice came through again. Phase 2's ready. We've got Pierce's emails, offshore transfers, hush money for safety violations, and their charter subsidiaries tied to some nasty stuff, cartel cash, maybe worse. Your call. Marcus stared at the city lights, their glow fractured by lingering mist. Begin, he said simply, piece by piece. The next morning, Regalis' woes escalated. Their booking system crashed entirely, stranding thousands. Check-in kiosks flashed error codes, gate agents stared at blank screens, and security lines snaked through terminals as TSA reverted to manual checks. In Atlanta, Jonathan Pierce was roused from sleep by frantic calls. Total system failure, he bellowed at his CTO over the phone. How? We've got backups. The CTO's voice trembled. They're all down, sir. It's like someone mapped every weak point and hit them at once. By 9 a.m., the media pounced. The Washington Post dropped a bombshell expose. Decades of corruption at Regalis Airways, backed by leaked emails and whistleblower accounts. The SEC received a detailed report on financial fraud, fake safety records, hidden accounts complete with Jonathan's digital fingerprints. CNN cut in live. Regalis CEO Jonathan Pierce allegedly falsified records while siphoning funds offshore. The FBI is reviewing evidence. Jonathan watched from his office, surrounded by advisors, his bourbon untouched. This isn't a glitch, David Kim said, his voice tight. It's an attack. Where's Ethan Cole? Jonathan demanded, referencing the infamous fixer he'd hired. At 46, Ethan was a lean, cold-eyed man known for burying corporate scandals with ruthless precision. He's on the media front, David replied, but it's like he's got nothing to work with. Jonathan's phone rang Senator Hayes, his voice sharp. Turn on Fox. Now. Jonathan fumbled for the remote as Senator Laura Mitchell appeared live beside Nia Adebayo. These allegations are a disgrace, Mitchell said, her tone icy. My committee will investigate fully. Jonathan's face darkened. That traitor, he muttered. As chaos reigned, Henry Voss gave a televised interview, his marine-honed calm cutting through the noise. I saw discrimination baked into Regalis' systems, he said. Reports I filed vanished. What happened to Marcus Langston was just the surface. Tariq Evans followed, his youthful fire blazing. I watched them treat a legend like trash because of his skin. When I spoke up, they threatened me. By noon, #Regalis Reckoning trended nationwide. Ellen Carter was terminated that day, escorted out amid flashing cameras. I followed unwritten rules, she shouted as security led her away. In the break room, she cornered Aisha. You leaked those videos, didn't you? Aisha stood tall. I showed the truth, Ellen. You chose wrong every time. Ellen's face twisted. You've ruined me. Aisha's reply was calm. No, you did that. Across town, Tanya Rivera met Nia Adebayo in a discreet cafe, her hands trembling around her coffee. You're asking me to turn on my own company, she said. Nia's eyes were steady. I'm asking you to save it. You've fought Pierce's corruption for years. When this breaks wide open, they'll need you. Tanya nodded slowly. If I do this, what's Langston's endgame? Nia smiled faintly. Justice. And a new start. The Regalis Airways boardroom in Atlanta was a pressure cooker, the air thick with tension as directors shouted over one another. The sleek mahogany table gleamed under harsh fluorescent lights, but the polished veneer couldn't hide the cracks, splitting the company apart. Jonathan Pierce stood at the head, his silver hair disheveled, his tie loosened as he fought to regain control. This is a witch hunt, he roared, slamming a fist on the table. Langston's using his tech to frame us. We fight back hard. Across from him, Robert Freeman, a grizzled board member in his 60s, shook his head. It's not about who's attacking Jonathan. It's about what's true. Did you greenlight those offshore accounts? Jonathan's face flushed crimson. That's nonsense, I'd never. His words faltered as his assistant burst in, clutching a tablet. Sir, you need to see this. The screen displayed an email from Jonathan's private account to Bradley Weston, a venture capitalist, on Regalis' advisory board. The message detailed a plan to suppress a whistleblower's report on faulty engine maintenance, complete with a promise of discreet compensation. Jonathan's voice died in his throat. That's fabricated, he stammered. Robert's eyes narrowed. Forensics can prove it. If this is real, we're done. As the board moved to suspend Jonathan, Marcus Langston met with his own team in San Francisco. The Langston Technologies conference room overlooked the bay, its waters churning under a slate-gray sky. Nia Adebayo stood by a smart wall, her tablet projecting a web of Regalis' vulnerabilities, financial trails, legal settlements, safety lapses. Their stock's down 40%, she reported. The SEC's sniffing around, but Pierce's political friends are stalling them. Marcus nodded, his fingers steepled. They're a house of cards greed propping up incompetence. Push harder. Rebecca Ortiz, 35, Marcus's chief legal counsel, adjusted her glasses and spoke up. We've filed a formal complaint discrimination, hostile environment, federal violations. They've asked for 48 hours to respond. Marcus's lips twitched into a faint smile. Give it to them. It's a distraction. Nia tapped her tablet. We've got more. Pierce's charter subsidiary ran private flights, ghost passengers, cartel money. It's explosive. Marcus's eyes darkened. Verify it. When we strike, it's surgical, no collateral damage. That evening, Ellen Carter arrived home to chaos. Paparazzi swarmed her quiet suburban street, their camera flashes piercing the dusk like gunfire. She fumbled with her keys, her heart pounding, as she ducked into her garage. Inside, her phone was a battlefield, texts from coworkers, voicemails from reporters, a viral video compiling her past confrontations with passengers. The footage was damning. Her sneering at a Latina woman in a first-class line, her barking at an elderly black man with a cane, her smug escalations all laid bare. "Who did this?" she whispered, panic clawing at her chest. She dialed Jonathan's office, but Ethan Cole answered instead. "This is outrageous," Ellen snapped. "Regalis needs to back me up." Ethan's voice was ice. "The company's got bigger problems, Miss Carter. Stay quiet or it gets worse." Ellen's grip tightened on the phone. "I followed their rules, the unwritten ones. They told us to watch certain passengers in premium cabins." Ethan's tone didn't waver. "Say that publicly, and you're on your own. Good luck." The line went dead, leaving Ellen staring at the wall, the weight of abandonment sinking in. Meanwhile, Tariq Evans sat in his cramped apartment, the glow of his laptop casting shadows across his face. After Ethan Cole's ultimatum, silence or betrayal, he'd called in sick, his mind racing. His phone rang, an unknown number flashing. "Hello?" he answered, voice tight. "Tariq, this is Nia Adebayo from Langston Technologies," came the reply. "We need to talk." Tariq's pulse quickened. "How'd you get this?" Nia cut in. "Not important. Ethan Cole's got you under watch. A sedan's parked outside your place." Tariq peeked through the blinds, spotting the dark car. "What do they want?" he asked, throat dry. "You're a witness," Nia said. "Stay silent or help us. Either way, we'll keep you safe." Across town, Henry Voss cleared out his desk, his suspension official after refusing Ethan's deal. His service medals clinked in a cardboard box as his phone buzzed with a text. "Black Tesla, East Lot. Driver's hours." Henry hesitated, then grabbed the box and left. 20 minutes later, he sat across from Marcus in a nondescript office, the rain tapping the windows. "Mr. Langston," Henry said, shaking his hand. "Didn't expect this." Marcus gestured to a chair. "Your career's not over, Henry. It's shifting. I need the truth." Henry exhaled. "Regalis buried discrimination for years, employee harassment, passenger profiling. I reported it. They ignored it. You were just the spark." Back at Regalis headquarters, Ethan Cole strode into Jonathan's office, tossing a tablet down. Stocks tanked 12%. That computer message. "This is only the beginning. Has everyone spooked? You've been hacked." Jonathan slumped, defeated. "Fix it." Ethan's eyes glinted. "I can manage it, but we need to neutralize leaks. Someone's feeding Langston." He paused. "We've got a harassment claim against Langston, settled quietly years ago." Jonathan smirked. "Leak it." Ethan hesitated. "It's thin. Do it." Jonathan barked. Within hours, a fringe site ran the story. Tech mogul Marcus Langston accused of misconduct. But Nia's team struck back faster. The site retracted it, exposing Ethan's fabricated emails now in the FBI's hands. Legit outlets then dropped bombshells. Pierce's offshore accounts, falsified safety records, cartel ties. Jonathan watched the news in horror, his phone ringing with the board chairman's fury. "Fix this, or you're out." As he hung up, his screen flickered, and Marcus's face appeared via video call. "Hello, Jonathan," he said calmly. Jonathan flinched. "How? Your systems aren't secure," Marcus replied. "This isn't about money or apologies. It's about justice." The call cut off, replaced by a message. "We're shutting down an empire." The next day, Regalis's stock plummeted further as federal agents raided their offices. Marcus met with minority shareholders in a private call, his voice steady. Regalis has value routes, slots, workers. I'll buy controlling interest at a 50% premium over today's price with a 2-year jobs guarantee. One investor balked. Predatory. Another countered. It's survival. Marcus let them argue, then sealed it. This is transformation, not destruction. In a federal holding cell, Jonathan learned of the acquisition vote, 11-3 against him. Langston hasn't won, he growled to his attorney. Focus on your plea, the lawyer shot back. 7 years if you cooperate, 20 if you don't. Jonathan's defiance wavered, the walls closing in. 3 months later, Washington National Airport buzzed with the launch of Langston Air, Regalis Reborn. A sleek plane gleamed on the tarmac, its new logo a fusion of strength and unity. Marcus took the stage. The crowd hushed. Langston Air isn't just an airline, it's a promise. Dignity for all. Mobility as a right. He unveiled initiatives, free flights for underserved students, diversity training, a tech center in his old Chicago neighborhood. Tariq spoke next, his voice steady. I saw injustice and acted. This airline opens doors for everyone. Aisha followed, now heading passenger equality, her words sharp. We're done with excuses. This is accountability. Behind the scenes, Tanya Rivera, now CEO, shook Marcus's hand. A year ago, I was sidelined. Now I'm leading. Marcus nodded. You were always the right choice. As cameras flashed, Jonathan Pierce took his plea in a courtroom miles away, his empire dust. That night, Marcus boarded Langston Air's first flight, the cabin warm and welcoming. A flight attendant smiled. Honored to have you, Mr. Langston. He returned it. The honor's mine. As the plane soared west, Marcus gazed at the logo on the wing, a quiet pride settling in. This wasn't the end. It was the legacy's start. The inaugural flight of Langston Air lifted off from Washington National Airport, under a sky streaked with golden clouds, the setting sun casting long shadows across the tarmac. Marcus Langston sat by the window, the hum of the engines a steady pulse beneath his thoughts. The cabin was a marvel of redesign, wider seats for accessibility, soft lighting that felt more like a living room than a plane, and a crew whose diversity mirrored the passengers they served. A young flight attendant, her badge reading Lila Monroe, paused beside him, her smile genuine. Can I get you anything, Mr. Langston? It's a privilege to have you on board. Marcus returned the smile, a rare warmth softening his features. Just keep doing what you're doing, Lila. That's more than enough. She nodded and moved on, her pride evident in every step. Below, the city receded into a patchwork of lights, but Marcus's mind was already racing ahead. The launch had been a triumph. Headlines blared, Langston Air redefines aviation, and from scandal to salvation, but he knew the real work was just beginning. Transforming a behemoth like Regalis into Langston Air wasn't a victory lap, it was a battlefield. The airline's 30,000 employees, its sprawling network of routes, and its tarnished legacy were now his to reshape, and not everyone was cheering. In Atlanta, Jonathan Pierce sat in a federal holding cell, the fluorescent buzz overhead a constant irritant. His once impeccable suit was replaced by a drab jumpsuit, his silver hair dulled by days without grooming. The plea deal had shaved his sentence to 7 years, but the sting of losing Regalis, his life's work, burned hotter than any prison bars. His attorney, a harried man named Paul Grayson, sat across from him, flipping through papers. They've seized your offshore accounts, Paul said, his voice flat. The feds are still digging. There's talk of cartel ties. You need to give them more names if you want any leverage. Jonathan's jaw tightened. I gave them enough. Weston, the board let them rot. Langston thinks he's won, but I've still got cards to play. Paul raised an eyebrow. What cards? Your empire's gone, Jonathan. Langston Air's the phoenix rising from your ashes. Jonathan leaned forward, his voice a low growl. Ethan Cole's still out there. He owes me. And there are people, powerful people, who don't want Langston rewriting the rules. This isn't over. Paul sighed, gathering his files. Focus on staying alive in here. Revenge won't get you far. But as the attorney left, Jonathan's mind churned, plotting moves in a game he refused to concede. Across the country, in San Francisco, Marcus disembarked into a flurry of activity. Reporters swarmed the gate, their microphones thrusting forward like spears. Mr. Langston, how do you respond to critics calling this a hostile takeover? One shouted. Marcus paused, his gaze steady. It's not a takeover, it's a transformation. Regalis was rotting from within. We're building something better. Another voice piped up. What about the employees who say you're forcing change too fast? Marcus's expression didn't waver. Change isn't easy, but it's necessary. We're listening and we're hiring. He slipped past them into a waiting car, Nia Adebayo already inside, her tablet glowing with updates. First flight's a success, she said, her voice crisp. Social media's buzzing passengers love the new vibe, but we've got pushback. Some Regalis old-timers are leaking complaints to the press, LANGSTONs, turning us into a social experiment, they say. Marcus leaned back, the city's fog curling around the car. Expected. They're scared of accountability. What else? Nia swiped her screen. Ethan Cole's gone dark, dropped off our radar after the FBI nabbed his emails. And Pierce's allies in D.C. are whispering Senator Hayes is rallying support to cap our growth, claiming we're destabilizing the industry. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Hayes wants a fight? Let him bring it. Dig into his connections, follow the money. Nia nodded, her fingers flying across the tablet. Already on it. There's more unions are restless. They're demanding a seat at the table. Say Regalis left them burned. Marcus considered this, his voice measured. Set a meeting. They're part of this too. We rebuild together, or not at all. The next morning, Langston Air's headquarters in San Francisco buzzed with activity. The building, a sleek glass tower repurposed from Regalis's West Coast hub, hummed with new energy. Employees in crisp uniforms darted between floors, their chatter a mix of excitement and uncertainty. Tanya Rivera, now CEO, stood in her corner office, gazing at the bay. Her dark hair was loose today, a rare break from her usual tight bun, and her eyes gleamed with determination. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Aisha Brooks stepped in, her tablet in hand. Morning, Tanya. First day metrics are solid, on-time departures up 10%. Customer satisfaction spiking. But we've got turbulence ahead. Tanya turned, her brow furrowing. Lay it on me. Aisha swiped her screen. A group of ex-Regalis pilots is organizing, calling themselves the Legacy Coalition. They're mad about the new training mandates and diversity quotas. They're threatening a walkout. Tanya sighed, rubbing her temples. They think we're erasing their history. Anything else? Aisha hesitated. Yeah, rumors Ethan Cole's advising them. No proof yet, but it's got his fingerprints. Tanya's jaw tightened. Get Nia on it. If Ethan's stirring the pot, we need to know. Across town, Tariq Evans settled into his new role at Langston Air's department. His cubicle, a chaotic sprawl of monitors and energy drink cans. His promotion from intern to systems analyst had come fast. Marcus had seen his potential and pulled him into the fold. His phone buzzed with a text from Malik Jefferson, still at Regalis's crumbling Dallas hub. Bro, they're slashing jobs here. You saved yourself. Tariq typed back, Come west, man. We're hiring. As he hit send, a shadow fell over his desk. Henry Voss, now Langston Air's head of security, loomed with a rare grin. Evans, you're with me today. We're testing gate protocols. Marcus wants 0 repeats of national. Tariq grabbed his badge, grinning back. Let's do it. As they walked the gleaming halls, Henry's voice dropped. Heard whispers some old Regalis guards are loyal to Pierce. Watch your back. Tariq's grin faded, but he nodded. Always do. Meanwhile, in a dimly lit bar in D.C., Ethan Cole sipped a whiskey, his lean frame hunched over a table. Across from him sat Senator Richard Hayes, his florid face glistening with sweat. Langston's moving too fast, Hayes muttered. He's got the press eating out of his hand, and that new airline's undercutting our donors. We need him slowed down. Ethan's cold eyes glinted. Pierce wants him buried, but we've got to be smart. I've got contacts, pilots, unions, a few regulators. We can clog his gears. Hayes leaned in. How much? Ethan smirked. Enough to keep me off your payroll. Just get me access. Hayes nodded, sliding an envelope across the table. Done. Back in San Francisco, Marcus stood on his hotel balcony, the night air cool against his skin. His phone buzzed. Nia's voice came through, urgent. Hayes met Ethan 30 minutes ago. We've got audio talk of sabotage. Nothing concrete yet. And the Legacy Coalition's gaining traction. 500 signatures on a petition. Marcus's gaze hardened, the city lights reflecting in his eyes. They want a war? Fine. Double our security, lock down our systems, and get me that audio. We don't just survive this, we win it. The San Francisco dawn broke over the bay, painting the water in hues of orange and pink. But inside Langston Air's headquarters, the atmosphere was anything but serene. Marcus Langston stood in the war room, a converted conference space lined with screens, and buzzing with his core team. Nia Adebayo paced by the smart wall, her tablet streaming real-time data security logs, employee chatter, and a grainy audio clip of Ethan Cole's meeting with Senator Hayes. We've tightened our systems, she said, her voice sharp. No breaches yet, but Ethan's moving pieces, pilots, regulators, maybe more. The Legacy Coalition's petition hit 1,000 names overnight. Marcus's jaw tightened, his dark eyes fixed on the screens. They're testing us. What's the audio give us? Nia tapped her tablet, and Ethan's cold voice crackled through. Langston's too clean hit him where it hurts. Delays, fines, anything to clog his launch momentum. Hayes's gruff reply followed. My committee can push inspections safety violations stick, even if they're thin. The clip cut off, and Rebecca Ortiz, Marcus's chief legal counsel, leaned forward, her glasses glinting. It's circumstantial, won't hold in court yet, but it's leverage. We can counter with our own pressure, expose Hayes's donor ties to Regalis. Marcus nodded. Do it. Quietly leak it to a friendly outlet, and get me a meeting with the union heads today. Across the city, Tanya Rivera faced her own storm. The executive floor buzzed with tension as she met with Langston Air's operations team, a mix of fresh hires and Regalis veterans. A burly man in his 50s, Captain James Hargrove, stood at the head of the table, his weathered face set in a scowl. As leader of the Legacy Coalition, he'd become the voice of the disgruntled pilots. These new rules, mandatory diversity training, rerouting schedules for equity, it's nonsense. He barked. We flew Regalis for decades without this. You're gutting our way of life. Tanya met his gaze, her voice steady. James, this isn't about erasing you. It's about fixing what was broken. Regalis crashed because it ignored people like Marcus Langston. We're not repeating that. Hargrove crossed his arms. And if we walk, half your fleet's grounded. Tanya leaned in, her eyes narrowing. You walk, and you're out of a job. We've got a waiting list of pilots who want in younger, hungrier, ready to adapt. Your call. The room fell silent, the other managers shifting uncomfortably. Hargrove's scowl deepened, but he sat down, muttering, This ain't over. In D.C., Ethan Cole worked from a nondescript office, its blinds drawn against the morning light. His desk was a chaos of burner phones and encrypted laptops, his lean frame hunched over a call with a contact at the FAA. "Push the inspections," he said, his voice low. "Langston Air's fleet finds something, anything. Hayes needs ammo." The voice on the other end hesitated. "They're clean, so far new planes. Top maintenance. It'll look forced." Ethan's eyes glinted. "Make it subtle paperwork delays, random checks. Wear them down." He hung up, dialing another number, Jonathan Pierce's prison line. "It's me," Ethan said. "We're moving." "Hayes is on board. Pilots are restless." Langston stretched thin. Jonathan's voice rasped through, strained but eager. "Good. Bury him. Use whatever I left those charter logs. The old deals. He doesn't get to dance on my grave." Ethan smirked. "Patience, John. We're carving him up slow." As he ended the call, a shadow moved outside a Langston tech operative snapping photos of the building, unnoticed. Back in San Francisco, Marcus met with union reps in a glass-walled room overlooking the tarmac. The air smelled of jet fuel and coffee. The three men across from him a mix of wariness and curiosity. Union President Carlos Mendez, 44, spoke first, his voice gravelly. "We've got 10,000 workers, mechanics, baggage handlers, gate agents. Regalis screwed us layoffs, wage freezes. What's your play?" Marcus leaned forward, his hands clasped. "I'm not Pierce. Langston Air's got a 2-year jobs guarantee, and I'm raising base pay 5% effective next month. But I need you in, not out. No strikes, no sabotage." Carlos exchanged glances with his deputies. 5%'s a start. What about the old-timers, griping legacy coalition types? Marcus's gaze was unflinching. "They adapt or they leave. I'm building a future, not a museum. You're with me?" Carlos nodded slowly. "We'll talk it over, but you've got our ear." As they shook hands, Marcus's phone buzzed Nia, her voice urgent. "FAA's hitting us with surprise audits, 3 hubs, starting tomorrow. Ethan's work." Marcus stepped outside, the wind whipping across the tarmac. "Counter it. Pull every maintenance log. Cross every T. They want to fight. They'll lose it." That afternoon, the New York Times ran a piece. Senator Hayes took Regalis cash before pushing airline oversight, sourced from an anonymous insider. Hayes's office scrambled, issuing denials. But the damage was done. His credibility wobbled. At Washington National, Aisha Brooks oversaw gate operations, her clipboard a blur of notes. The new protocols, priority boarding for families, real-time complaint tracking were humming, but she felt eyes on her. A group of ex-Regalis agents lingered nearby, their whispers sharp. "She's Langston's pet, pushing his agenda," one muttered. Aisha turned, her voice cutting through. "Say it louder, or get back to work." They scattered, but the tension lingered, a reminder of the old guard's resistance. In Atlanta, Ellen Carter sat in her dim living room, the TV replaying her termination footage on loop. Her phone rang. Ethan Cole. "You're a liability," he said flatly. "But you've got dirt passenger logs, profiling orders. Send it to me, and I'll make it worth your while." Ellen's hands trembled. "I'm done with Regalis. I want out." Ethan's tone hardened. "You're in too deep. Help me, or those videos keep spreading." She hung up, tears stinging her eyes, then pulled a dusty binder from a shelf, years of notes she'd kept as leverage. By nightfall, Marcus gathered his team again. The war room alive with strategy, Nia reported. Ellen's cracking intercepted a call with Ethan. "She's got records," Rebecca added. "FAA's. Audits are clean so far. Hayes's push is stalling." Marcus stood, his voice a quiet thunder. "They're desperate. We hold the line, expose Ethan's moves, lock in the unions, and keep flying. This is our sky now." The next day, Langston Air's flights ran like clockwork, passengers raving online about the service. But in D.C., Ethan smirked as an FAA report flagged a minor log error enough for a fine. A small cut in a war of attrition. Marcus saw the news and called Nia. They're bleeding us slow. Time to hit back harder. Find me those charter logs Ellen's hiding. We end this. The San Francisco fog rolled thick over the bay, cloaking Langston Air's headquarters in a ghostly shroud as Marcus Langston stood at his office window, the city below, a blur of muted lights. Inside, the war room pulsed with activity screens, flashed updates. Coffee cups littered the table, and his team moved with the precision of a well-oiled machine. Nia Adebayo stood by the smart wall, her eyes locked on a new feed, a grainy photo of Ellen Carter leaving her house, a binder clutched under her arm. "She's on the move," Nia said, her voice taut. "Met a courier an hour ago. Ethan's got those logs now. Charter flights, profiling memos. All of it." Marcus turned, his expression carved from granite. "What's in them?" Nia swiped her tablet, pulling up scanned pages. Enough to bury Regalis twice over private jets for shell companies, cash drops in Mexico, passenger lists flagged by race, Pierce's signatures on half the orders. Rebecca Ortiz leaned in, her legal mind racing. "If we get originals, it's a federal case conspiracy, racketeering. Ethan's playing with fire, but he'll twist it against us if we don't act fast." Marcus nodded, his voice low. "Intercept it. Ellen's their weak link. Flip her before Ethan weaponizes this." Across the country, in a DC safe house, Ethan Cole pored over the binder, his cold eyes glinting under the dim light. The logs were gold proof of Regalis's underbelly, but also a chance to smear Langston Air by association. He dialed Senator Hayes. His voice clipped. "We've got it, Pierce's dirt, straight from Carter. Leak it, slow tie Langston to the old regime. Say he knew and bought in anyway." Hayes's voice crackled through, eager but nervous. "This better work, Cole. My committee's bleeding support after that Times piece." Ethan smirked. "It'll work. Langston's too busy playing savior to see the knife." But in Atlanta, Ellen Carter was unraveling. Her suburban home felt like a cage, the walls closing in as guilt and fear gnawed at her. The binder was gone, handed off to Ethan's courier in a parking lot under flickering streetlights, but sleep eluded her. Her TV blared a pundit's rant Langston Air's built on Regalis's bones, same rot underneath, and her phone buzzed with threats from old colleagues. "You sold us out, Carter." She grabbed a bottle of wine, hands shaking, when a knock rattled her door. Peering through the peephole, she saw Aisha Brooks, her face calm but resolute. "What do you want?" Ellen snapped, cracking the door. Aisha held up a USB drive, a chance to fix this. "I've got recordings your calls with Ethan. Every word. Help us, or it goes public." Ellen's face paled. "You're bluffing." Aisha's eyes didn't waver. "Try me. You've got till midnight." Ellen slammed the door, her breath ragged, then sank to the floor, the wine bottle slipping from her grip. Back in San Francisco, Marcus met with Union President Carlos Mendez again, this time on a windswept rooftop overlooking the tarmac. Planes taxied below, their Langston Air logos gleaming in the fog. "FAA fines hit us today," Marcus said, his voice steady. "Minor, but they're stacking up Ethan's doing." "Your people holding?" Carlos rubbed his jaw, his gravelly voice thoughtful. "Most. Our pay bumps keeping them loyal, but the legacy coalition's loud Hargrove's rallying mechanics now, not just pilots. They're spooked by the fines. Think you're sinking us." Marcus's gaze hardened. "I need them on board, Carlos. Double overtime for anyone who stays through this. Spread the word." Carlos nodded. "I'll push it. But if Ethan's got dirt, it'll shake them hard." Marcus clapped his shoulder. "He won't. We're ahead of him." As Carlos left, Nia called, her voice urgent. "Ellen's cracking. Aisha's got her on the edge. She's ready to talk." Marcus's lips twitched. "Bring her in." Safe transport, no leaks. That night, Ellen sat in a Langston Tech safe house, her face drawn as she faced Marcus and Nia. The binder's photocopies lay on the table, her past sins in black and white. "I didn't know it'd go this far," she said, her voice brittle. Pierce pushed profiling. "Protect the brand," he said. "I just followed." Marcus leaned forward, his eyes piercing. "You chose to follow. Now choose again, testify, or Ethan buries you with him." Ellen's hands trembled, but she nodded. "I'll do it. Just keep me out of jail." By morning, the tide shifted. Ellen's sworn statement hit the FBI, Regalis's cartel ties, Pierce's orders, Ethan's blackmail backed by the logs. The Washington Post ran it front page. Whistleblower exposes Regalis corruption. Ties to Langston foe. Hayes's office went dark, his aides dodging cameras, while Ethan vanished. His safe house empty when agents arrived. In San Francisco, Marcus watched the news with his team. The war room quiet for once. "He's running," Nia said. "But he's not gone." Marcus nodded. "He'll resurface. We stay sharp." On the tarmac, Langston Air's flights soared, undeterred by FAA nitpicks. Tanya Rivera addressed employees via live feed, her voice firm. "We're stronger than their lies. Every plane we fly proves it." Aisha joined her, adding, "This is our airline built for us, by us." Cheers erupted, drowning out the Legacy Coalition's grumbles. Hargrove stormed out, his coalition shrinking, but his parting shot lingered. Langston's luck runs out eventually. In prison, Jonathan Pierce saw the news, his fists clenched. A guard slipped him a burner phone. Ethan's voice came through, faint but venomous. Carter flipped, "But I've got one more play. Stay patient." Jonathan smirked. "Make it hurt." Weeks later, Langston Air's stock climbed. The FAA fines dismissed as baseless. Marcus stood at a Chicago ribbon, cutting a tech center in his childhood neighborhood, kids crowding around drones he donated. A reporter asked, "What's next, Mr. Langston?" He smiled faintly. "More skies to claim." But that night, a cryptic email hit his inbox, no sender, just a line. "The past flies back." Nia traced it unroutable. Ethan's shadow looming. Marcus stared at the screen, the fog outside thickening. "Round 2, he muttered, ready for the fight. The Chicago wind whipped through the streets, carrying the chill of late autumn as Marcus Langston stepped away from the tech center's ribbon cutting, the cheers of the crowd still echoing in his ears. The new facility gleamed behind him, glass and steel rising from the cracked asphalt of his old neighborhood. A beacon for kids who'd once been like him, hungry, overlooked, dreaming of more. His phone rested heavy in his pocket. That cryptic email, "The past flies back," gnawing at his focus. The fog of San Francisco felt far away, but Ethan Cole's shadow loomed closer than ever. Marcus climbed into his waiting car, the leather seat cold against his back, and dialed Nia Adebayo. "Trace update," he said, his voice a quiet command. Nia's reply came fast, her tone edged with frustration. Still unroutable bounced through a dozen proxies, dead ends everywhere. "Ethan's a ghost, but he's taunting us. I've got teams sweeping old Regalis data, anything he could use from Pierce's playbook." Marcus stared out the tinted window, the city's gray skyline blurring past. "He's not just taunting, he's planning. Double our eyes vendors, ex-employees, anyone Pierce touched. He's got a hook in the past, we find it first." Back in San Francisco, Langston Air's headquarters thrummed with quiet determination. The war room had become a permanent fixture, its screens now tracking not just operations but threats. Tanya Rivera sat with Aisha Brooks in her office, the bay's choppy waters visible through the glass. A stack of reports lay on her desk, passenger numbers soaring. Employee morale steady, despite the Legacy Coalition's fading noise. "We're holding," Tanya said, her voice firm but tired. But this Ethan mess, it's a cloud we can't shake. Aisha tapped her tablet, pulling up a grainy security feed. Caught this at LAX yesterday. Unmarked van near our maintenance hangar. No plates. Gone in 10 minutes. Feels off. Tanya's brow furrowed. Get it to Nia. If Ethan's hitting our ground ops, we're not waiting to find out why. Aisha nodded, her fingers already typing. Hargrove's quiet lately, too quiet. Think he's in on it? Tanya leaned back, her dark hair catching the light. Maybe. He's bitter enough. Keep tabs, he's still got friends in the hangars. In D.C., Ethan Cole worked from a new hideout, a cramped apartment overlooking the Potomac. Its walls bare, save for a single map, pinned with red dots. Langston Air hubs. His burner phone buzzed. Captain James Hargrove's gruff voice came through. I'm out of the coalition, too much heat. But I've got guys willing to talk mechanics, fuel crews. They hate Langston's rules. Ethan's lips curled. Good. Feed me schedules, maintenance windows, flight gaps, SS small cracks. Nothing big yet. Hargrove hesitated. This gets me exposed. I'm done. Ethan's tone turned icy. You're already done, James. This is your lifeline. Move. You're already done, James. Mattress, a lifeline to the outside. Ethan's last call had lit a fire in him. Langston's empire was growing, but cracks could be widened. He scratched a note on a scrap of paper, names of old Regala suppliers, shady firms he'd buried in shell companies, and slipped it to a guard with a nod. Get this to Cole, he muttered. The guard pocketed it, his silence bought months ago. Jonathan smirked, imagining Marcus's face when the past roared back. In San Francisco, Nia's team struck gold. A junior analyst, Priya Patel, 26, flagged a file buried in Regalus's old server's contracts with a firm called Apex Logistics, tied to Pierce's charter flights. It's a front, Priya said, her voice quick with excitement. Shell company, linked to those Mexico drops Ellen logged. Apex is still active, small cargo runs for Langston Air's supply chain. Nia's eyes narrowed, calling Marcus. Found Ethan's hook Apex. They're in our system. Low level, but close. Could be sabotage. Marcus, now back in his hotel, gripped the phone. Shut it down, cut every tie, audit every crate, and find their base. That night, Langston Air's LAX hub went on alert. Henry Voss led a security sweep, his flashlight cutting through the hangar's shadows as Tariq Evans trailed behind, laptop open. Here, Tariq said, pointing to a fuel line tampered. Subtle, but enough to delay flights. Henry cursed under his breath. Ethan's work or Hargrove's? Seal it, get forensics. Tariq nodded, his fingers flying. Already on Nia's list, Apex supplied this batch. Henry's jaw tightened. They're in deep. By morning, the news hit Bloomberg ran a scoop. Langston Air cuts ties with suspect supplier amid sabotage fears. Marcus addressed employees via video, his voice steady. We're under attack, small, cowardly moves, but we're stronger. Every flight proves it. Passengers barely noticed the delays were minimal. The fix is swift, but the legacy coalition seized the moment. Hargrove posting online. Langston's crumbling, told you so. His followers dwindled, though, drowned out by raves for Langston Air's resilience. In D.C., Ethan cursed as his plans frayed. The Apex link was severed, Hargrove's intel drying up. He dialed Hayes, his voice sharp. Langston's dodging every hit. Your committee's useless now. Hayes snapped back. You're the one failing, Cole. My donors are pulling out. Fix this. Ethan hung up, tossing the phone aside, then grabbed a new one. Time for the big play, he muttered, dialing an old Regalis contact, a maintenance chief with a grudge. Back in San Francisco, Marcus met with Tanya and Rebecca, the war room humming. Apex is out, Rebecca said, But Ethan's not done. Those charter logs mention a plan B, no details. Tanya added. Hargrove's gone. Rogue rumors he's meeting someone tonight. Marcus's gaze darkened. Track him and get Ellen on the line. She knows more than she's said. Hours later, Ellen's shaky voice came through, patched from the safe house. Pierce had a fallback. Old planes, mothballed in Nevada. If Ethan's got them, he could frame you, crash one, pin it on Langston Air. Nia mobilized, drones scouting a dusty Nevada airstrip where rusted jets sat like ghosts. Sure enough, one was missing. Logs showed it moved days ago. Marcus stood on his balcony, the fog thickening, and called Nia. Find that plane now. Ethan's endgame's here. The next morning, a Langston Air flight out of Dallas reported a glitch, minor but eerie. Tariq traced it. Parts from that Nevada jet slipped into the supply chain. He's close, Tariq said, pale. Marcus's voice was steel. Shut it down, we're ending this. The Dallas sky hung heavy with clouds, a gray veil over Langston Air's bustling hub as Marcus Langston's jet touched down, the tires screeching against the wet tarmac. Inside the terminal, the air crackled with urgency. Employees darted between gates, their faces a mix of focus and unease. After the glitch report, Marcus strode through the chaos, his charcoal suit a stark contrast to the bright Langston Air logos on every wall. Nia Adebayo met him at the security checkpoint, her tablet glowing with updates, her short-cropped hair damp from the drizzle outside. We've grounded the plane, she said, her voice clipped. Parts matched the Nevada jet fuel valve swapped in, subtle but enough to cause a mid-air failure. Tariq's pulling logs now. Marcus's eyes narrowed, his voice a low rumble. Ethan's not playing small anymore. Where's that jet now? Nia swiped her screen, pulling up drone footage. A rusted hangar in the Nevada desert, its doors ajar, tire tracks fresh in the sand. Moved yesterday. Our scout missed it by hours. Could be anywhere. Marcus clenched his fist, the weight of the threat settling in. Find it. Every radar, every tower. Lock it down. And get Hargrove in a room. He's the link. In San Francisco, Tanya Rivera stood in the war room, her hands braced on the table as screens flashed red alerts. Aisha Brooks flanked her, her clipboard swapped for a headset as she coordinated with ground crews nationwide. Dallas is secure, Aisha reported, her voice steady. But LAX and Chicago are on edge. Mechanics are triple-checking everything, slowing us down. Tanya nodded, her dark eyes scanning the data. Better slow than sorry. Ethan's betting on a crash. Public panic would tank us. Aisha's jaw tightened. He's got help. Hargrove's too smug for a lone wolf. Across town, Henry Voss led a team to James Hargrove's last known address, a squat apartment near the airport, its windows dark. Tariq Evans rode shotgun, his laptop open, hacking into Hargrove's phone records on the fly. He called an unlisted number 2 hours ago, Tariq said, his voice tense. Traced it to a burner, Ethan's pattern. Henry kicked the door open, his flashlight sweeping the empty space. Papers shredded, a half-eaten sandwich on the counter, a chair tipped over. He's gone, Henry growled. Knew we were closing in. Tariq spotted a crumpled note, coordinates scribbled in haste. Nevada again, he said. He's meeting someone. In D.C., Ethan Cole stood in a shadowed warehouse, the missing Nevada jet looming behind him, a relic of Regalis's past, its paint chipped but engines primed. A grizzled mechanic, ex-Regalis and bitter, tinkered with the controls, his hands steady despite the risk. It'll fly, the man muttered. One trip, straight into Langston's Dallas route collision course. They'll blame his maintenance. Ethan's cold eyes glinted. Good. Timing's everything. Hit peak traffic, maximum chaos. His burner buzzed. Hargrove panicked. They're on to me. Voss was at my place. Ethan's voice turned sharp. Get out. You're done disappear. Hargrove cursed and hung up, his truck peeling out of a gas station lot. Back in Dallas, Marcus gathered his team in a makeshift command center and unused gate office, its windows overlooking the tarmac. Nia Patched and Henry's find the coordinates and reference them with flight paths. It's a match, she said, her voice rising. He's aiming for our 3 p.m. to Chicago full load. Families. Marcus's face hardened, his mind racing. Scramble air traffic control, reroute everything in a 100-mile radius. And get me the FAA on the line now. Rebecca Ortiz dialed, her calm voice cutting through the chaos as she briefed regulators. We've got a rogue plane, credible threat. Act fast. The clock ticked down, the war room a blur of motion. Priya Patel, the junior analyst, hacked into satellite feeds, her fingers trembling but precise. Got it, she shouted. A blurry dot blinking on-screen. Ethan's jet, climbing slow over Oklahoma. Nia related to the FAA, who scrambled F-16s from a nearby base. Marcus watched the screens, his breath steady but his pulse pounding. Intercept. Don't engage, force it down. Tanya's voice crackled through. Dallas is clear, passengers safe, flights on hold. Aisha added, crews ready to spin this. Safety first, not panic. In the air, Ethan's mechanic piloted the jet, sweat beading on his brow as he ignored radio hails. 2 F-16s flanked him, their warnings sharp. Land now or we fire, he cursed, banking hard. But the old plane groaned, outmatched, outgunned. Ethan, listening via a sat phone from his warehouse, smashed it against the wall as the jet descended, forced onto a rural airstrip. Agents swarmed, cuffing the mechanic as he spat. Cole made me. In San Francisco, the war room erupted in relief. Marcus exhaled, his team clapping Priya's back. Nia grinned, rare and fierce. Ethan's burned mechanic singing already. Marcus nodded, his voice quiet. Not over till he's in cuffs. Where's Hargrove? Henry called in, breathless. Caught him truck stop, 50 miles out. Singing to Ethan's warehouse. Exact spot. Marcus turned to Rebecca. FBI now. End this. Hours later, Ethan's warehouse was raided empty, save for a taunting note. Nice try, Langston. He'd slipped the net again, but his plan was dust. Langston Air resumed flights by dawn, the glitch a footnote drowned by praise. Airline thwarts disaster, puts passengers first. Tanya faced the press, her poise unshaken. We're built on trust, today proved it. Aisha rallied employees. This is our win, every one of you. In Chicago, Marcus returned to the tech center, kids swarming him with questions. Did you stop a bad guy? One asked. He smiled faintly. Team effort, kid. Keep building, you'll do it too. That night, his phone buzzed. No sender. Just next time. Ethan's ghost lingered, but Marcus slept sound. The sky his again for now. In Atlanta, Jonathan Pierce saw the news, his burner confiscated after a shakedown. Damn you, Langston, he muttered, alone in the dark. But the fight was fading, his empire a memory. The Dallas dawn broke crisp and clear, the clouds parting to reveal a sky streaked with promise as Langston Air's operations hummed back to life. Marcus Langston stood in the terminal's command center, his eyes tracing the steady stream of planes lifting off, each one a testament to his team's grit. The Nevada jet fiasco had been a close call, but they'd turned it into a triumph, the press now hailing Langston Air as the airline that wouldn't break. Yet Ethan Cole's final taunt, next time, echoed in Marcus's mind, a splinter he couldn't ignore. He turned to Nia Adebayo, her tablet still glowing with the aftermath. He's out there, Marcus said, his voice steel. We don't wait for his next move. We take him down. Nia nodded, her predator's focus sharpening. Mechanics spilling gave us Ethan's last burner number. Hargrove's coughing up names, 2 old Regalis cronies. A network. We've got a trail. Marcus's jaw tightened. Run at every lead, every hole he could crawl into. He doesn't get a next time. Nia tapped her screen. Dispatching teams, Langston tech operatives, ex-NSA, contacts, even a discreet FBI tip. He's wounded, she said, running low on cash. Allies thinning. We'll find him. In San Francisco, Tanya Rivera faced a packed press room, her poise unshaken as cameras flashed. Langston Air stands for safety, trust, and resilience, she declared, her voice ringing clear. Yesterday proved it. We stopped a threat before it could touch our passengers. We're not just flying, we're fighting for what's right. Behind her, Aisha Brooks coordinated with PR, feeding stories of crew heroism. Lila Monroe calming passengers, Tariq Evans tracing the glitch to drown out the last whispers of doubt. The Legacy Coalition's grumbles faded, Hargrove's betrayal sealing their irrelevance. Across the country, Ethan Cole holed up in a rundown motel off I-95, the neon sign outside flickering like a dying pulse, his lean frame hunched over a laptop, his cold eyes darting between screens, bank accounts frozen, contacts ghosting him, the mechanic's confession looping on a muted TV. Hargrove's arrest had gutted his network, and the warehouse raid had stripped his resources. He clutched a new burner, dialing a final lifeline, a shady ex-Regalis exec in Miami. I need a way out, Ethan snapped. Boat, plane, anything now. The voice on the other end wavered. You're hot, Cole. Langston's people are everywhere. I'm out. The line went dead, and Ethan smashed the phone, his breath ragged. In Dallas, Henry Voss led a tactical team to a lead Hargrove's tip, pinpointing a freight yard where Ethan had stashed gear. The night air was thick with diesel fumes as they moved in, flashlights cutting through the dark. Tariq hacked a security cam feed, spotting a figure Ethan, slipping between cargo crates, a duffel slung over his shoulder. Got him, Tariq whispered, relaying coords to Nia. Henry signaled his team, their boots silent on the gravel. As they closed the net, Ethan sensed it too late. A shadow moved, and he bolted, darting toward a truck. Henry tackled him, the duffel spilling cash, fake IDs, a loaded Glock. Game over, Henry growled, cuffing him as Ethan thrashed, his cold facade cracking. Back in San Francisco, Marcus watched the arrest via live feed. The war room hushed. Ethan's glare burned through the screen, but his fight was done. FBI agents took over, his empire of schemes reduced to a rap sheet. Nia leaned back, a rare smile breaking through. Mechanic's testimony, Hargrove's confession. Now this triple lock. He's facing 20 years, minimum. Rebecca Ortiz added, charges stick conspiracy, attempted sabotage, blackmail. Pierce's cartel ties seal it. They're both buried. In Atlanta, Jonathan Pierce saw the news from his cell, the TV bolted to the wall showing Ethan's perp walk, his hands clenched, the last ember of defiance snuffed out. A guard banged the bars. Lights out, Pierce. Your buddy's toast, you're next. Jonathan slumped, the weight of 7 years stretching into forever, his name a footnote in Langston's rise. Days later, Langston Air's headquarters buzzed with celebration, a company-wide event on the tarmac, planes gleaming under a rare clear sky. Marcus took the stage, his suit sharp, his voice steady. This isn't just about winning a fight, it's about building a legacy. Every one of you made this pilots, crews, mechanics, gate agents. Langston Air isn't mine, it's ours. Cheers erupted, Lila Monroe beaming in the crowd, Tariq high-fiving Priya Patel. Tanya stepped up, her pride evident. We're the future, safe, fair, unstoppable. Aisha followed, her words sharp. No more shadows, we fly in the light. Behind the scenes, Marcus met with Carlos Mendez, the union president, sealing a long-term deal, wage hikes, training funds. A voice in decisions. You kept your word, Carlos said, shaking his hand. "We're all in." Marcus nodded. "Always were." As the crowd dispersed, Nia approached, her tablet dark for once. Systems clean, threats gone. Ethan's network's ash haze is retiring, donors bailing. "We're clear," Marcus exhaled, the tension of months lifting. "Good. Time to soar." That night, Marcus boarded a Langston Air flight to Chicago, the cabin warm with chatter families, students, workers, all part of his vision. Lila Monroe greeted him, her smile bright. "Welcome aboard, Mr. Langston. Where to next?" He settled into his seat, gazing at the logo on the wing. "Everywhere," he said, a quiet pride settling in. The plane climbed, the city lights fading below, and for the first time in years, Marcus felt peace, no ghosts, no threats, just the open sky. In D.C., the FAA cleared Langston Air of all fines, a public apology buried in the press. Senator Hayes' resignation hit the wires, his career a casualty of Marcus's quiet counterstrike. In Miami, the ex-Regalis exec, who dodged Ethan's call, turned informant, sealing the last loose end. Langston Air's stock hit a record high, its routes expanding London, Tokyo, Lagos, each flight a brick in Marcus's empire. Back in Chicago, the tech center hummed. Kids coding drones under mentors Marcus had hired, his past redeemed, his future secured. He stood alone on the roof, the wind carrying echoes of his journey from a boy with nothing to a man who'd changed everything. The fight was over, the victory clear, and the sky was his.